Welcome to Yvette's View, where we vibe high on good, high vibrations. Today, I want to talk about perspective and how, in my view, your perspective is key. And I will say your perspective is key because it's all based on you. When I started to change my perspective so that you can kind of get an understanding of why I'm choosing to talk about perspective, because it's coming from my view, why I think it's important that your perspective change because of how beneficial it can be to you individually. But of course, that's, again, my view. That's why it's called Yvette's View, right? But I changed my perspective on how I view things outside of me that I don't have control over, right? If I chose to see things in a negative light all the time, then I'm going to constantly get negative things coming towards me. I didn't really get that full understanding of it until I started to practice changing my perspective. Some of us haven't worked on changing and working out the mental muscle. I was already doing a lot of physical things. I changed my eating habits, got back into working out, got back into yoga, which definitely keeps me calm, keeps my nervous system just right here, flowing easy. And even if it tends to go up a little bit at times, it gets right back even. But the only thing that I can somewhat control or be aware to bring myself back is me. Once we really understand and understand and overstand that you, me individually, are creating worlds that can either be chaotic or it can be beautiful. It's your choice. It's your decision. You have to choose you this day. What kind of day you're going to have. If you wake up going, oh, this is going to be guess what? It's going to be that. Because the words that we use, and I did understand it, but I really didn't understand it. Because had I really understood that my world creates those worlds, I think I would have been more aware of what I was saying. I think I would have been more aware of how I was talking about other people. And sometimes when we're doing that, I will say this all the time, is usually a reflection that you're seeing. Something that you do that you don't like about someone else, it's really you somewhere in there. You might call it something different. Case in point, procrastination, or no, not procrastination, double-mindedness. And even in the Bible, it talks about being double-minded, right? A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And so anybody who had a double mind or was just kind of 1 minute they were here, next minute they were there, I was just like, I had no tolerance for those type of people, right? However, when I had to take a look at myself, I noticed that I was doing the same thing. It just wasn't as quick as theirs. But at the end of the day, did I change my mind? Yes. Did I flip from one way to the next? Yes. Why did I do that? And why did I not recognize that when I saw that from someone else when they did it, how it irritated me? It literally irritated me. What is wrong with you? Why do you do that? Well, you do the same thing. You just call it something different. Like, I have a right to change my mind, right? And you justify it. At least that was my experience. I'm only talking about me first because I can only talk about what my experience was, correct? Right? So my experience was that if you flipped on a dime, to me, I thought, okay, this person is unstable. They have no idea what they want to do. They just from here to there to there to there. But I would do the same thing. I just took a little longer before I did. But the action was still the same. You see what I'm saying? The action was still the same. But why did it bother me so bad when I saw someone else do that? And how did I not make the connection that I was doing the same thing? But the awareness of it is what is the beauty of it all. I can now offer compassion. I can now offer understanding. I can now see it from a different lens versus from how I used to, because my perspective changed. Only you know when it's time for you to change your perspective and change your mindset and keep you on a high vibration. Because here we vibe good, we vibe high, on good high vibrations up in here, right? And in order to be on that good high vibration, adding love from a different perspective of how we perceive love, once you learn to love yourself first and you do for self first, everything outside of you is going to be, rainbows and unicorns. If it needs to be, if you choose for you to have unicorns. I don't know if you like unicorns or not. I don't even know where unicorn came from, but rainbows and unicorns tend to kind of simultaneously go with each other for some reason, at least in the fantasy pictures that we could watch. However, choosing to have a different perspective, it's your choice, because you can choose to have a different perspective in any and all situations. It's so key, because it really does make your world flow. I'm seeing things from a whole different perspective, because I'm noticing that most people are so unconscious of what they're actually doing. You can see it, but they don't. They're really unaware of what they're doing at times. But there were things about you and me that we did certain things in a way that may have been just as contrary to someone else that's viewing you, correct? So when you see it from that perspective of how are they viewing me like I'm viewing them? Are they viewing me the way I'm viewing them? Most likely not. When you do have your different perspective and you can choose to see them differently, like, okay, they just send them love and light right now, because you're not worth me getting myself all up in a tizzy. You're not worth me getting my organs messed up and sending toxins off into my, no. You don't get to have that. You don't get to control me. I control. I keep this calm. I have to navigate this avatar. And when I'm navigating this avatar, it's like a spaceship. You know, there's times where you're going to run into meteors. How do you dip and dive and move and, get out the way, or slow back and let that meteor pass you by? It's all about how you choosing to navigate. The only control you do have is over your world and how you want it to be. And from my perspective and from my view, if I'm looking from the view of love, my perspective automatically changes, because that's the highest vibration, right? And Dr. Sebi, shout out Dr. Sebi, he always, even in eating and herbs and things of that nature, it still came from love first. And I'm like, that's a lot of love, Dr. Sebi. But now I understand I understand and I overstand what that was, what the purpose of that was for. That was for you, the individual. That was for the individual. Take that information. Let's see how I can utilize that within my own self. If you're not beneficial to me, then why are you here? You know? And I think I used to tell, my son at one time, I'm like, what do you want? Do you want consequences or do you want benefits? Because at the end of the day, you get to choose which one you want. Even though I was speaking these things, I hadn't really applied any of it. I had so many good words that I could tell others. But until I was able to apply it to my life and have my own experience with it, this is why I can talk about how now that I have changed my perspective, because my experience with it has brought me benefits, even when it didn't seem like it was a benefit. It still was a benefit. Why? It was something I needed to learn. It was something I needed to enter and understand. Had I gotten off track then on being this loving person towards myself, because I'm first. I'm saving me first. I'm putting the mask on myself first. I can't hand you anything I don't have. Right? That's just key. That's facts. So perspective is key for your interactions in the world. You can go now in love and still see people with more compassion, see situations with a little bit of more understanding. We are here to learn ourselves. When I had to do that work, man, when I had to do that shadow work, when I had to do that internal work, it wasn't easy. It was very challenging, but it was so worth it, because everything that I did and learned and perceived, it brought me to where I am now. And this is so much better because I've chosen to see things from a different perspective. And this is why I continue to say perspective is key. And as long as perspective is as long as you are perceiving things through the lens of love, you have more compassion. Because especially once you start being more compassionate with yourself, because I know I was the person who wasn't compassionate with themselves. So I was definitely going to be hard on anyone outside of me, because I was hard on myself. I didn't even know that I needed to be compassionate with myself. Right? I mean, you hear about it, but to actually put that into practice is a whole nother thing. Until you start practicing being compassionate with yourself. You practice with yourself first, and this is what is so beautiful about it all, is that it is still about you first. It's always going to come back to you first. I'm just sharing with you what I've had to do for myself first. I love the way I perceive things now versus how I used to. I can tell the difference. That's what's most important to me. I can tell the difference just on how I used to perceive. Now I'm like, oh, it's so much better over here. It's so much better on this high vibration. It's so much better in the love land. It's so much better in my own world that is full of beauty, full of love, full of calmness, just full of peace. I'm like, I don't know who don't want peace. But for me, in my world, that's key. That's key. Peace is key. So love and peace to me go together. So for those two are definitely the first two things that rule my world. love, and peace. And after that, it's all the laughter that I can get up, right? Because all the laughter in the world just brings me that much more love, that much more peace. I love and appreciate everyone who clicks on to my videos. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I hope you got something out of my thoughts about perspective, and see how you think about what I said about perspective. See if that's going to be something that you can actually use in your own walk. With that being said, family, continue to vibe on good high vibrations. Peace.